We are done with the round 1 of the 2023 NBA playoffs, and boy, was it interesting. How many of your predictions were successful? The teams that went home are the Bucks, Hawks, Nets, Cavaliers, Timberwolves, Clippers, Grizzlies, and the Kings. In this video, I'll try to use just 1 minute each to explain what went wrong for every one of these teams. This is based on my opinion from the facts we have, so start the stopwatch. Every team comes into a game with a strategy. If the Brooklyn Nets had a plan of stopping Joel Embiid, they succeeded. They managed to hold the league's leading scorer to 20 points per game by aggressively double-teaming him, but they still lost the series by a total of 45 points. How did that happen? They were simply outmatched. Holding Embiid down to 13 shots per game meant his teammates were open to a degree, and because his teammates were not trash players, it was a case of picking your poison. The trio of Michael Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Dinwiddie showed great signs of a great future for the Nets, but playing against Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris was too much for this Nets team. Maybe if Kyrie and KD stayed, playing as well as they did in their 12-game win stretch, this would have been a closer series. Outside of their shooting splits dipping just a bit, I don't think anything went wrong for them. They did their best against Philadelphia, but there's only so much you can do against a more talented team with better players, better coaching, and more playoff experience than you have. If anyone had told me 3 weeks ago that the Bucks wouldn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I could have argued, but no one saw the Bucks going home after just 5 playoff games. Regardless of what Giannis thinks, a good number of people consider their exit a disappointment at best. Giannis getting injured and missing basically 3 games was obviously bad enough for this team. But this is one of those rare scenarios where we see the importance of good coaching and the dangers of bad coaching in full display. Unlike the Clippers-Suns series, people still thought the Bucks had a chance after they lost their best player. It was a matter of the coach making adjustments. Most times people don't see the need for a player like MJ or Kobe Bryant to be coached by Phil Jackson, or the reason for Steph to be coached by Steve Kerr. That is because good coaching is most effective when things just work. So many fans do not appreciate it well enough. Outside of Coach Bud's bad coaching in this series, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday just did not look very good. In Game 3, they just did not play well enough. And let's not forget the Giannis kryptonite.
He takes about as much time as anybody in the league getting ready and shoot the free throw. Fans, a reminder, Laker games are...
Missing 13 free throws and making some bad decisions down the stretch in Game 5 also had its role to play in the team's pivotal game loss. I do hope they get back stronger because I really like Giannis. The Clippers vs Suns series would have been an absolute thriller had it not been for injuries. Both teams looked like equals on the paper, but going into the series without Paul George was already a reason for concern. And then after taking Game 1 with a spectacular performance from Kawhi, they lost in Game 2 and never won any other game because Kawhi had to sit out the next 3 games. The Clippers lost because they were undermanned. This was no choke job, neither was it an example of bad coaching or any other thing anyone says. This was just an unfortunate case of injuries. There was no way KD, Devin Booker, and CP3 were losing to a Clippers team without Kawhi and PG. The Clippers needed the defense of Kawhi and PG if they had a chance of putting a clamp on the offensive arsenal of the Suns. But even without Kawhi and PG, who are among the best two-way players in the league, Russell Westbrook and his teammates put up a good fight, and in my opinion, Coach Ty Lue was able to do the best with what he had available. No one thought the Timberwolves were going to beat the Nuggets, but I did think the series would have gone on to 6 games. This was just because of what I saw in their playing games. This Timberwolves team is talented. They have a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year who now plays like a shadow of himself, and they also have 2 number 1 draft picks in Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. Some experts would argue that they are almost as talented as the Nuggets, but I'm no expert. What went wrong with the Wolves in this series is what went wrong with them the entire season. Katz and Rudy are not working out as expected. Having Rudy on the floor is great for you defensively, but it doesn't work out quite well offensively. This is because he doesn't facilitate the offense, he doesn't always take advantage of his size to post up smaller players or draw fouls, and it also has no jump shot. So having him on the floor is like playing 4-5 on offense, and they're not even getting the kind of defense he had in his Jazz days. Anthony Edwards was cold in the playing games, especially against the Lakers, but he did very well this series. Kat didn't play as well as I saw him play against the Lakers and OKC. In a video I uploaded, I mentioned that the ability to stretch this series is dependent on being locked in and playing as well as they did against the Lakers and OKC, especially Karl Anthony Towns. In what was the lowest scoring series of the first round, the Cavs played poorer than I know they are capable of, and the major reason they lost was because of the Knicks' defense. They got figured out. and couldn't make any adjustments to get back in the series. According to NBA stats, the Cavs averaged 112 points per game during the regular season, but in their 4 games against the Knicks, they averaged just 105 points per game, which also led to them losing 3 of those regular season games. This means the Knicks' defense caused the Cavs to perform below their average offensive capabilities. Coming into this series, I thought it would be an even battle like the Warriors-Kings series, but man, the couple of games I watched, there wasn't so much that I found impressive about what the Cavs were doing. The Knicks were able to hold Donovan Mitchell, who averaged over 31 points per game against them in the regular season, to just 23 points per game in this series. He averaged less shots, his shooting split dipped, and he even turned the ball over more. It wasn't just D-Mitch, almost everyone performed worse, except for Darius Garland, but he did not really improve either. This was a defensive masterclass by the Knicks, and the Cavs had no answer whatsoever. Atlanta was another team that faced a more talented and better team. I know about the shots and Trey's heroics in Game 5 to force a Game 6, but it was hard figuring out what the Hawks could have done differently in this series. Even in Game 6, they played very well up until the last minute, but in Game 1 they shot 39% from the field and 17% from 3. If they had shot anything close to their average numbers, this would have been a different game. Truth be told, they came into the series as underdogs. Not many people saw a Game 6 happening. I mean, Jackson had a whole show planned that had to be moved because of Game 6. I know people may fault Trae Young for shooting poorly or even having some bad games, or even fault DeJounte Murray for finishing the first half of Game 6 with 0 points. But of all the series that went to a Game 6, the Hawks were the least expected to make it that far. I can't bring myself to fault them. The soon-to-be dynasty, the team with the guy who pokes bears, the team that is spying in the West, for all of this talk, they lost in the first round. I don't think the Grizzlies are a bad team. There's a reason they finished as the 2 seed for consecutive seasons, and they've done this with their best player missing more than 20 games each season. They even lost him in Game 1 of this series up until Game 3. This isn't a slap on Jaz's face saying his team is better without him. This is just stating that they are not overly reliant on their all-star guard to win games. The very thing that is wrong with this team is what Jazz said after their elimination. I've just got to be better with my decision making, that's pretty much it. Off-the-court issues affected us as an organization pretty much, just need more discipline. You see, discipline will take a less talented man places that a lack of focus would not then bring a very talented man to. That's just how life works. If this Grizzlies team could focus more on walking the walk, then they have the permission to talk the talk. They wouldn't be the first team to have trash talkers, but throughout the history of the NBA, your trash talk only means something when you're a winner. The Sacramento Kings. First off, lights that beam. As a Warriors fan, I want to say well done. I already liked this team, but they've just earned more of my respect. I know I'm supposed to be speaking about what every team that lost did wrong, but for the Kings, I will not be doing that. This season was a great success for them, and like most people, I wish they only get better. The Warriors-Kings series always looked like it would be a thriller because they both had similar styles of play, and the Kings had Mike Brown, who was with the Warriors for 6 years and helped them win 3 championships in that span. It's safe to say what he learned in that time contributed to them being the 3rd seed in the West, but it also made them a formidable opponent for the Warriors. Even as the 3rd seed, they came into this series as underdogs, but this is the first team in 5 years to take the Warriors to Game 7 since James Harden's Rockets, the first team to take a 2-0 lead over them. If Harrison Barnes hit these shots, they would have been up 3-1 and this would have been a different series. I'm not sure what they did wrong, but if there's any such thing, I think they can improve on it. Like always, until next time. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe, but most importantly, leave a comment down below and click on any of these cards on the right to watch other videos I think you would find interesting.